God damn it. Fucking assholes and liars just run the fucking world.
Let's talk about that for a minute with Mr. Pope.
It's like, fuck you, dude. Like,
An hour-long show where we discuss various subjects.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, get ready for... Before I was so fucking rudely interrupted by the brilliant new Thundercat album. It's called It Is What It Is, which is pretty pivotal, pretty self-explanatory to what all this shit is right now that's going on. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mr. Pope. I'm a music producer. I'm a chronic fuck-up. I am a enthusiast of bringing back the arts and education to society amidst a Donald Trump America and a globalized, imperialist, fascist New World Order. Now, I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist or anything like that, but this is, let's talk about that for a minute, the Outbreak edition. Ladies and gentlemen, it's really not easy to try to find yourself in a place to promote your newest album from your band, which is the first band that's also religion, the People's Love Cult. It's a new album, and the link is in the bio of this YouTube description from my record label, Sun God Records. It's called American Holocaust, the 21st Century Craze. And it features such songs as American Holocaust, the title track. It features songs like The Craze, Parasite Queen, and, many, many more that years down the line we're going to be watching at 4 in the morning in one of those infomercials. Those really nice infomercials and greatest hits compilation, and all that money is going to go right into... I don't know, you catch my drift. It's just basically the deals you can get or not get in the music industry are weird, man. And during this time in my life, I've been forced to actually consider things that aren't music, that are music but aren't the atypical rock star, going backstage, going on tour, and talking to, a devoted fan's girlfriend, because that's just not me. That's not really the kind of person I am. Honestly, I think that my expectations have changed, and probably the first 3 or 4 years of me making music was really a self-fulfilling idealism that should not and does not reflect my actual purpose in life. Now let's talk about that for a minute. With that said, I am researching all sorts of options in this pandemic, which is why I invite you, if you are a fan of mine, if you do not have money, that's okay, but I would definitely invite you to download my entire discography on the talentlessmrpope.bandcamp.com website and download an assortment, or the assortment would be the entire discography, which is just under $600. Silly me, trying to monetize on my very small fan base, because God knows I've made way more money than the amount of people I've had listening to me in the past 3 years per my music. So I need to be grateful, but I do invite you to really check out Sun God Records. But I'm not one of those people, because I am a content creator at the same time that I'm a musician. I mean, this is something that is a job for me. I wake up and I do this, and I've done this in isolation. And it's ironic that we have a situation right now that involves us all to separate from each other and stay at home and work from home, because I really personally wish the gift that I have chosen and forced upon myself sacrificed my quality of life in order to do, which is working from home, working from the bunker. And everyone deserves this opportunity. Because I've worked so many different jobs. The very first podcast of Let's Talk About That for a Minute was literally me talking about working at a Greek restaurant and getting the job. But what you don't know and what you did not hear in the podcast was I worked that job and moved my way up to manager of this Greek restaurant and started out doing the low-end, low-tier janitorial work, but I ended up really working hard and making $100 bi-weekly. So what that means is that I did not make tips. I did make tips because I was front of the house, but this was a very cheap family-run business. And they would give me sometimes $2 worth of tips out of, working first and second shift sometimes. Because I was just the naive, dumb, long-haired kid. So I chose not to continue that way of life. I knew what that life was going to be. I've also known the life of excessive drug use. I know the life of excessive alcoholism and trying to contain that. And trying to really get a grip on society. What the fuck am I saying, society? Get a grip on myself. But, this is something I struggle with. We are all works in process. We are all a collective body of people, and there is a collective consciousness. Now we only know it as, through the digital age, through social distancing, and it pisses you off, doesn't it? You want to be able to experience things. But if you're like me, you want these things so badly, and then you go out and you do them, and you're disappointed. When you've separated yourself, when you've moved in so many different areas, and you've moved around physically, you've traveled. You've been a bohemian, you've been a nomad, you don't know where you exactly stand. You're still young, but the young years are running out. But now you get this act of God that forces you back into the confines, into isolation. And the most promising thing is the liberation of this virus. But there really is no cure yet. There's no vaccine. There's just the luck and the hope and the gratitude that you won't get caught with it and you won't be ostracized from the rest of the world. So this is very serious. This is the greatest crisis of the 21st century. And it's still pretty fucking early on. We could have dealt with this thing in 2040, man. We could have dealt with this thing in 2070. But we're dealing with it at this, what they've called the raging 20s. What my generation into high school was considering, when we were all shitposting and shit sharing and shitting our pants over. But, I really force optimism upon myself, but something like this, it seems like the end. It seems like this is it, but I don't want to think that way because we are so developed and advanced. Or maybe we aren't. Maybe we were bought into this whole thing that we I keep fucking stumbling over this goddamn thing. But seriously, were we bought into this entire idea that we were advanced, that we were invincible as a people? But we're not. One of the finest quotes I ever heard was from Dick Gregory. Before he died, he was speaking of many things. Some things that were in the New World Order category. And for those of you that don't know, Dick Gregory was a civil rights activist. And he said that back in the time before the human race, the dinosaurs, every child's fascination, they roamed and they lived on the earth. They inherited the goods and they were savage beasts. They were primal. They destroyed subsects of their own species, and then they went extinct. But what they don't tell you, aside from the dinosaur, during that time, there was also the butterfly. There was also the turtle. There was also the whale. And millions of fish that swim in our waters now. So I hope that you all hear this Outbreak edition as a call to arms. And whatever may happen to me or may happen to you, we have this wonderful gift. And it really is a wonderful thing to be alive. I'm the most cynical person. I've been the biggest suicide case since God knows when. Only God knows when. But I've recently shot a music video. I've recorded 2 albums, and I'm working on my 3rd since this period of isolation. And maybe, with the silver linings that are ahead of us, this will end. And just maybe, I will miss this quiet world. Because like the lyric in the last big People's Love Cult song, one that I really was proud of recording, I told the listener that I am ready to live in the quiet world. Then again, it's very counterproductive of me to try to romanticize and make some kind of creative, self-imposed whatever over something that is as serious as this. So I honestly think that people shouldn't take for granted the time that we have to really focus on ourselves. And there's really not much that I can say just in the nature of this podcast, just in the nature of doing this and trying to get a grip on what this is, getting that fucking grip on myself. It's not easy for somebody to really put themselves out there and disregard what other people say or want or really want from them, and that's a big issue. It's really something that I've come to realize when I look at people who've been successful is really, what do they all have in common? They don't give a fuck. I know I've talked about Elon Musk before on this show and how I think he's a complete bullshit artist and populist, and really corporate populist at that. It's really just pivotal right now that we realize that all of these billionaires, all of these people who we are now designed in a society to celebrate and congratulate and almost follow their each and every move, that this is also a form of I'm sorry propaganda. Why are you enabling the personal ego of somebody you have already personally enabled as a consumer? That's something that really just, it kind of pisses me off. And you can go and write on the comments section, oh, well, we can't do anything about it. You can't. You're right. Why should I care? Why should I even bring this to light? Because that's so fucking unfashionable and lame just to have an opinion on anything. It's really the age of the ha-ha, the hee-hee, and the ho-ho. It's just, I can't stress it enough. People want to either laugh about something, celebrate it, meme it, complain about it, but they want to project it. A lot of this is projecting. What the meme really is, it's a projection. It doesn't exist. And shit posting, which is not a very literate term, it's just kind of like a slang, it's It's not, none of these things that we've been saying on the internet, none of these things that have this like urban dictionary definition, it's really become status quo. It's really become a part of society. And now shit has gotten really serious. Or maybe it hasn't. Let's talk about that for a minute. For people that honestly think that this thing is a hoax, or you're gonna go and fight for things getting back to normal because you're losing money and all this stuff, I'm not gonna blame you. I'm gonna blame your idiocy, your fucking arrogance, and your stupidity for putting others' lives at risk. Why do you want to do that? There's so many people who can't afford to go to the fucking doctor, who can't afford to keep themselves alive, and they've got to look in fear because of somebody like you coming right at them with this goddamn fucking virus. They got to look right at them, and all of their fears come true. We live in this stupid, nerdy-ass world where there's so many science fiction stories and depictions of the end of the world, and just for all of this, like, to actually come true, I mean, you're going to be one of those people who's going to be like, and just carry that virus and give it to them, because fuck you, you son of a bitch. So anyway, what I'm saying doesn't make a lot of sense, but what I'm saying is that don't be going out with a virus. If you're sick, don't be going out screaming at people and emitting spit and sweat saying you don't believe in this virus, and give it to people who don't have the virus because they have to look at you. And don't even give it to the people who are marching alongside you with this fucking virus, saying that it's not there and saying, oh, it's not a big deal. It's very biased information that has been subverted, and we're not even getting our news from any basic science or basic facts. And I'm not a guy that likes science. I've never considered myself a smart person. I've only considered myself somebody who just had to learn, because I had to be the loudest voice in the room, and I just had to acknowledge something and stand above. That was one thing that I could bring that I thought could actually help the world. But no, that's not going to happen anymore. We've got this thing going on that we know nothing about. I mean, we know enough. We know the percentages of who has it and who doesn't, but we don't really know why this is happening. The state of the earth, the state of humanity, the state of so many different things that I just won't even try to wrap my head around, because I'm really just trying to wrap my head around it. And I have been working on a new album most of this time. Like I said earlier, I have shot 2 music videos. I think last recording session of this episode I might have only shot 1, but yes, I do have a new music video out on this YouTube page, My Fascination. Do indeed check it out. And for the rest of this broadcast, I just want to play some new stuff of mine. But first, I want to end this segment with a very special interview with a musical collaborator, but also doctor. Believe it or not, this is the Let's Talk About That for a Minute exclusive interview with Dr. Jacob Leavitt, who has come on the show for this very special exclusive Outbreak edition to just talk about his experience with coronavirus and what he knows about it. So let's take a grander at that. Yeah. So let's do that. And then we're going to play some new music from the People's Love Cult and Mr. Pope. Man, I sound like Joe Biden right now. Well, it's been a pleasure on this emergency broadcast. Thank you. Again, this is my interview with Dr. Jacob Leavitt, and we are not talking about anything of misinformation. The following recording is an interview of a very dear friend of mine who I have not been able to collaborate with musically as a result of the social distancing. So, just that legal tender for you. Again, this is Let's Talk About That for a Minute, Outbreak Edition.
That's fucked up. All my shots are from below the belt and without warning. Welcome to politics. You're fired.
Oh, man. What are we gonna do, man?
Dude, I don't know. I'm just laying low and
I
I don't
know,
leave
me
the
too. Well, I mean, that's actually, I was thinking about you particularly. I was like saying, one person that I'm not worried about in this is, Mellow Guy, is Jacob.
Coronavirus, more like Corona vacation.
Yeah, this is your biggest break from people yet.
I know. Dude, I'm digging it. All I have to do is wake up. That's every day is a new job. Dude, it's complicated though.
Well, it's just,
It's so complicated.
there's
I know there's gonna be hell to pay.
500 new cases.
500 new cases. You sound like
That's like, that's, no, I thought you were gonna say,
I have 500 new cases.
I thought
I'm
you're
going great, and I'm only 24.
I thought you were gonna say that sounds like you going to the beer store for this, preparing for this.
500
new cases.
500 new cases. 500 new K. Can you put it on my credit?
You guys take Discover, right? It's Discover from 1987.
Yeah, I'll give you my original Back to the Future poster signed by what's the old dude's name?
Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah, that's what the cashier says.
Yeah, the cashier's drunk. You mean
Yeah, it is. The guy's like, yeah, I got a Back to the Future posters on by Christopher Lloyd, and it's worth more than the store, so I'm just gonna leave it here and take what I want.
But really, it's just Christopher Lloyd, the janitor, who
Christopher Lloyd.
Different Christopher Lloyd.
Christopher Lloyd.
But they look the same.
They look the same right about now.
Right about now, everybody's looking the same.
They're all dead. And that's what a bunch of bones say.
Yeah, I mean,
Bunch of bones. That's scary, man.
I mean, are you gonna be all right on your bills to pay? You're gonna be
Yeah.
kosher.
I'm on top of it. Kids, I'm on top of it.
And the kids.
Dad, you smell different.
It's because I have to prepare. I have to prepare for what's coming about. Put on Alex Jones right now. What does he got to say about this?
Alex Jones. My St. Jones, or should I say St. Jones?
We should thank Jones. He informed us months in advance. He was selling a toothpaste that apparently cured or prevented coronavirus, and then he got immediately sued. And that was also the day he recently got arrested for a driving while intoxicated. No, he probably made a pit stop at Wendy's. No, he got arrested for driving while intoxicated, Alex Jones, like a couple weeks ago. They said
he had like a sip of.
They said that
Corona Light.
They said there is no Corona Light.
If it's not Corona Light, it ain't right, dude. Alex Jones, I think, isn't he the guy? He learns to like beat people up.
Yeah.
To fight his fan.
Yeah, he's the fight. He calls himself the fighting spirit. And believe it or not, remember we were talking about the golden rule the other day? He was like saying,
yeah, something.
Yeah, I believe in the golden rule, but I will kick your fucking ass.
Get a gold belt.
I mean, man, this is I mean, you think of all the conspiracy theories that are flying around, and then you just see something like this come into full swing.
It's everywhere, dude.
Yeah, but then like,
dude, before I called, you had Down with the Sickness playing all the way up.
Actually, you know what I have been listening to?
Banging on the door. Turn it down. You're like, no way.
You're 26. Move the fuck out.
And he just turned up, down with the sickness, you fucking get up. And he just turned it up. He think it's so bad.
Coronavirus
So bad.
pandemic? I guess this was the wrong time to try to move out. I just got a check for my Xbox tutorials.
I know, I was thinking, that's my life. I'm finally getting motivated and the apocalypse starts.
Yeah, that's what's going down.
That's what's going down. That's what's going down.
That's what's going down. I don't even sound serious about and nobody sounds serious when talking about this. They're like, yeah.
Because everyone wants to die. Everyone's like, oh, cool. The mercy killing. God's mercy killing of the human race. God's like, this is just getting sad.
Yeah, God's just looking down at me like, well, I mean, fuck. Just tell him I'm working in mysterious ways.
Dude. In mysterious ways, which means I start my drinking around 6 in the morning.
Yeah, I don't know. God's definitely got a bad hangover right now.
I check in on India, and I'm like, oh shit, I better pick up.
Yeah, it's like he's like he just flips through the channels. Every channel is a different side of the earth. And
Country, yeah, and he's like, he checks, there was, dude, he does the crazy.
I bet you he's probably
Quaida.
had it on mute for a while.
On me, oh yeah, because it's like really annoying. Really fucking annoying. It's like a baby crying. That's what the human race sounds like. A baby crying.
The human race is just the sound of a child's pain.
That sounds like, oh, let me guess, you got a bullhorn and a sandwich board, and you're out on the corner.
I got a megaphone and a sign painted.
And a bunch of pamphlets.
Lots of those. Well, I ran out. They're all on the back of Publix receipts.
I just write my handwrite my pamphlets on the spot, and whoever's interested can have one.
Pretty good small business, I get to work from home.
My revenue, well, that's still developing.
Let's not ask questions like that. It's not polite to ask those kind of questions.
Hey, are you gonna eat those? Dude, that's fucked up, man. That's like what he's saying at Starbucks. He eats people's leftovers.
You want to hear something weird, man? One time I was leaving your house, and I got a little lost in the outlet mall, because I was still recovering. And I went to... Oh, man, I can't...
Recovering soberholic.
Yeah, recovering soberholic, and I go to Starbucks, and I notice there's this old man there who is like,
get out of here, old man. You're not wanted because you're old. And
No.
I'm young and hip and cutting edge. I understand today's world, and you don't. So go.
fuck.
He's like,
Oh man, this is so bad. This story too, because like I remember Ian told that story about how he saw the man and the child leaving a bathroom, and
yeah, that's the worst story ever, dude.
well, I thought of that story because I was there, and there's this old man sitting there, and he's like smiling at kids, and the parents have their backs turned, and he's like trying to wave to them and stuff, and I was getting really uncomfortable. And by the way, the guy's sitting right next to me, so I was like, holy fuck, am I really... Is this really happening right now? And I just walked, and it's a long walk from the train station to from your house to the train station. So
That's creepy, dude.
didn't mean to bring down the momentum.
No, it is
It's well, it's South Florida. I think that's the biggest problem is
South Florida. I moved here from Des Moines.
And the reason why I moved is because they don't ask about registered sex offenders.
Geez, dude, that was 40 years ago.
Hey, it's a different time now.
Bills.
If this was 79, no one would be asking questions. In fact, the mayor had a teenage girlfriend.
And we all just thought it was Bandy. Dude.
Oh man.
Because it was his daughter.
Hey, at least it's in the family, all right? They're raised that way.
Now that's a name you can trust.
A name you can trust.
All in the Family. That's a name. That's a show. All in the Family.
Yeah, but it's nothing like the shit we're talking about.
I don't like the shit we're talking about.
Hey,
Dude, this
man.
sounds like a union worker right about now.
Yeah,
I don't like the shit we're
shit.
talking about.
Yeah, I bet
I'm
you.
a Boston steel worker, and that's not like the shit we're talking about.
The shit I've seen. Look, I grew up in a Catholic family in New England. You can basically tell I don't trust any man over 50. And I'm over
Dad
50.
was always home.
Dad was always home. He got sent off from work a lot. No questions asked.
Yeah, because he was always drunk and yelling at work.
Welcome to
Yelling
the
about
union.
Jesus. You can't yell about Jesus on the clock.
If you're yelling on the clock and it ain't for Jesus, I don't want to hear it.
Yelling on the clock. That sounds like Dan Aykroyd right about now.
Dan Aykroyd off the record.
Yelling on, yeah, he's just in front of some Philadelphia bar right now. He's been there since like 4 in the morning. Now it's this time. And he's just like yelling at the press.
They're out of hot dogs. He's getting pretty pissed.
Yeah, he doesn't even, it's all a blackout too, and he's like literally really pissed. He's like, what kind of fucking bar runs out of hot dogs? You call yourself an American establishment?
And they're like, it's Dan. He's a great customer. He's also a legend. We can't say anything. We can't kick him out.
We gotta cater to him.
We gotta cater to
We
him.
have to please him. We have to please him. He has a lot of weight in this town.
Dan draws a lot of water here in Chicago.
Get him his hot dogs. Get him his hot dogs.
We don't serve hot dogs here, boss. Well, you find a way.
Find a way, make it happen.
Make it happen.
Yeah, the body like this shady Italian guy. His father was Jewish, his mother was Italian.
His father was
Now he
Jewish.
runs a hot-
His mother was Italian. I bet you can already
He runs a
assume the
bar
guy's got
Dan
problems.
Aykroyd's a frequent. It's called Baba Booey's.
Baba Booey.
It's called Uncle Baba Booey's.
Uncle Baba Booey's Tavern.
We've been here since 1948. Uncle Baba Booey's is a Chicago. Dude.
After all these evictions, we're still here.
Dan Aykroyd will get his fucking hot dog.
Dan Aykroyd would save the business, like, 8 evictions later, and a lot of them have to deal with Dan Aykroyd
Without
coming
thinking
in.
about it, he just goes there when he blacks out.
I mean, yeah, if you had that kind of career, if you had a job like that where you had to,
Blackout.
black out as a Ghostbuster.
Chewing.
you're-
Yeah, they're like, you want me to play a fucking Ghostbuster? I need to black out again.
You said you're gonna do another Ghostbusters movie? Aren't 3 enough? Dan, there were only 2. Whatever.
This is the first one. We literally just brought this up to you this morning.
I'm pretty sure I saw that. I saw a movie like that, alright? You can't fucking fool
Back
me.
in '68.
I was on SNL, man. I was on SNL. And I said, see you later, SNL.
See me, oh, dude, that's fucked up, bro. That's fucked up.
Yeah,
Dan
well,
Aykroyd.
Driving Miss
He
Daisy.
killed Christopher Lloyd.
He was getting too
He sold
powerful.
him bad cocaine.
No, that... Oh, man, that made me think of John
That's
Belushi.
why Chris Lloyd looked like that, because he was the cocaine tester in Hollywood.
Yeah,
Like,
you ever wonder, how these actors, end up looking like that? Like, they have a lot of money, and they could take care of themselves.
They've been through some vortexes.
I mean, literally,
They've been warped by, energy.
that's why they say they're all...
Melted.
That's why they say they're all...
Melted.
They're all lizard people. Lizard people!
They've been melted.
Lizard people, call the shots.
My disguises have been melted.
And then you can't go back after that.
Everyone in Hollywood has a forked tongue.
Wait, a what tongue?
A forks.
Oh, but that's cool. My bass player has one of those.
Hi, oh yeah, that's your Facebook photo, a forked tongue.
It's just a
And
picture I
it's
found
the
on the
lizard
internet.
guy.
It's not really my
Yeah.
tongue, but I plan on doing that. That's my New Year's resolution, get a forked tongue.
Right after I get my eyebrow piercing.
Make sure when you bury me from the clothes I bought from Hot Topic. Disturbed cap and everything. Chained wallet.
And your wheelies.
So, you been to Hot Topic recently, Jacob? You've been checking out?
Yeah, to pick up my fucking Rob Zombie wheelies. Yeah.
You know, when you go into Hot Topic these days, it's
Only the manager can have wheelies. Kyle, only the manager can have wheelies at work.
Don't make me call HR again. I really don't like to call them.
His HR is his mom.
His mom was like in that movie Decline of Western Civilization, but the scenes were cut out. But that was her claim to fame.
Oh yeah, that's her claim to fame. I had my 15 minutes back in 81.
The Germs, X, I was there. All those shows. It wasn't as good as the movie makes it seem. There's a lot more puking involved.
They did a lot of overdubbing.
A lot. They did a lot of overdubbing.
Have you heard the raw feed? It was just...
Yeah, I actually heard that movie Decline of Western Civilization, they had Huey Lewis in the News overdub all the bands, so really you're just listening to a Huey Lewis in the News soundtrack.
I need a new drug. One that makes me fat.
Simply irresistible. No, that's not Huey Lewis.
Huey Lewis. That's what Huey Lewis was thinking every morning when they gave him new drugs. He's like, that's not Huey Lewis. But he did it anyways.
You want a shot of this, man? No, that's not Huey Lewis, but fuck it.
And he was thinking when he was just a small town country boy. He didn't know about drinking or drugs. Well, he knew about drinking.
Because he's a small town country boy.
About it. And now he's like a millionaire pop star, being offered everything left and right.
Actually, he clearly has still been on that crazy train because Huey Lewis just came back, and I'm like, who's listening to Huey Lewis now?
I just came back from a 30-year bender.
No, like he's got a new album. He's not like even touring. He's not doing that like I need the money tour. He's just doing that.
He caused the coronavirus. Huey Lewis is so infected, he could cause an incurable outbreak.
It's because when I put his records on, I get a fever.
Get a fever? I don't care how old she is. I got the fever. that's what Fox News cuts. Bill O'Reilly's like, all right, Huey.
All right, Huey.
You go get him.
We promise you a party. We promised you a good time. You're in for a real treat.
As long as I'm invited. On parties like O'Reilly.
We're gonna party with O'Reilly. Big time.
I'll be sure to bring the RC Cola.
Bring the RC Cola? That's all we can afford without getting product placement lawsuits slapped on us.
Because this is going to be broadcasted.
If this is gonna be broadcast, I'm gonna go out with a bang.
Yeah, Alex Jones shows up at Bill O'Reilly's like, what's he doing here?
Hey guys! Hey, you guys get my text? Nobody responded, so I just thought I'd show up. I know where the place is. I've been here before. Remember 2002 when I was interviewing Bush?
Is Bush here?
Bush here?
Hey, Billy.
Billy, bring it in, buddy.
Dude, that's really disturbing. And Dan Aykroyd is just passed out on the couch.
It's like, hey, what's liberal Hollywood doing over there? Passed out. You guys drug him or something? You guys trying to get a confession? I'm good at this. Here, let me punch him. Let me punch him back to life.
Oh! Back to life. Yay, that's fucked up, man.
The mercy of God's killing. This is a great time to make like a goth album. You know, like a really gothic.
God is coming. The resurgence.
The
Corona
resurgence.
is thankful for the goth revival.
You can thank coronavirus for all these digital downloads we're selling of our latest goth rock record. The resurgence.
God, people. Dude, I saw this video, and I was like, Bernie Sanders interviewing these goth kids at a Vermont mall.
Oh, I saw that.
Like, I was like, this is really strange, man, because it had that, like, 90s, 80s,
yeah, the
late 80s
VHS.
grain
Yeah, the video.
vibe. Yeah.
You remember like seeing the transition of that, like from like because the early 2000s was a lot like the late 90s, and the 90s had kind of the same equipment and technology as the
When
80s.
Country Bears came out,
That was a classic, Country Bears. That was
Country Bears,
so was what's
I
in,
cleaned up Willie Nelson only to fuck him up worse than ever before.
yeah, I know. Willie Nelson's like, so it's a kids movie. So does that mean yes on the weed or no?
And the executive's like, hi, Willie.
We have a lot of money, and I know you already have a lot of money, but do you think you could help our
Calm it down.
could you we really need you to help our 16 to 24 demographic. We're trying to think
He
of
has
the
a
young
clipboard.
parents.
And a headset.
Man, what do you think Willie Nelson's doing right now?
Dude, he's like, getting laid. What do you think? That's what Willie...
What do you think Neil Young's doing right now?
Wishing he could get laid.
Gentle rises, we are trapped at home to watch. Everybody stop piling up every day. There's no way they'll find a cure. What's in vain upon them, I'm sure. And we're gonna see the end of the day. We're gonna see the end of the human race. End of the day, end of the day. I'm living in the land of the dead. Dead souls rising in the coming weeks. Dead until we can get to your peace. Because we're on our knees. All night, Commander-in-Chief. Land of the dead, land of the dead. Mankind is a parasite. Looks like it's about time. We know we're gonna keep done as a race. To make the world a better place. I'll be the first to say we should die. Just so the earth can survive. There's no way for us to live if we're not here to give. Make way for the land of the dead. Make way for the land of the dead. Land of the dead. The land of the dead. Land of the dead. Land of the dead. I showed you my true form on an elephant rock. Bare naked like a corpse on an elephant rock. And that's where our train's gone. That's where our train's gone. To the edge of the border, to the edge of our minds. Well, I spoke of misery, but I spoke of wonderful things. And I would dream of Elephera. I keep my photo of Elephera. Against Mother Nature, but I kill my sorrows